Zendaya, please help my son, save him. You're the only one who can.
The woman kneeling at Zendaya's door was the last person she ever expected to see beg. Mrs. Choi, the elegant, venomous woman who'd spent 2 years calling her worthless, pathetic, not good enough for her precious son, was on her knees with tears streaming down her face. Her expensive hanbok was crumpled, her perfect hair falling loose, her pride completely shattered. "Please," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Please save my son. You're the only one who can." 5 years had passed since Zendaya put Seo-jun in the hospital. 5 years since she'd walked away with her daughter and built a new life teaching other women to remember their strength. She should slam this door. Should laugh at the woman who made her life hell. Should let the man who pushed his pregnant wife face whatever consequences were coming for him. But then Maya's voice drifted from the living room, innocent and curious. "Mama, why don't I have a daddy like the other kids at school?" And Zendaya realized some choices aren't about what you want. They're about what your child needs. The question is, can you save someone's life and still destroy their soul? There's only one way to find out. Don't touch that dial. Welcome to Afro K-Drama Besties. Before we continue, please hit that subscribe button to support my channel for more quality drama. Zendaya stood frozen in her doorway, staring down at Mrs. Choi on her knees. 5 years had passed since she'd seen this woman. 5 years since the divorce, since the hospital, since everything changed. And now here she was, the woman who'd once looked at Zendaya like dirt under her designer shoes, begging. "Get up," Zendaya said coldly. "I don't do drama on my doorstep." Mrs. Choi struggled to her feet, her hands shaking. She looked older now, tired. The sharp edges that used to cut had been worn down by something Zendaya couldn't quite name. Grief, maybe, or fear. "May I come in?" Mrs. Choi asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Zendaya should say no, should close the door and go back to the peaceful life she'd built. But curiosity won. She stepped aside, letting the woman who'd once owned her misery walk into the home Zendaya had built from the ashes of her marriage. The penthouse had changed. Where everything used to be cold and modern and empty, now there were bright colors everywhere. Maya's toys scattered across the floor, finger paintings on the refrigerator, photos of mother and daughter laughing, training together, living. Life where there used to be only silence. Mrs. Choi looked around, and something in her face crumbled further. "Tea?" Zendaya asked, not because she wanted to be hospitable, but because she needed something to do with her hands besides what they were trained to do. "Please." They sat at the kitchen table. Zendaya poured green tea into simple ceramic cups, nothing like the expensive china Mrs. Choi used to serve judgment on. "Where's Maya?" Mrs. Choi asked. "You don't have to know where she is at all. And before you ask, no, you can't see her." Mrs. Choi nodded, accepting this without argument. That alone told Zendaya something was desperately wrong. The Mrs. Choi she remembered would have demanded her rights as a grandmother. "Why are you here?" Zendaya asked bluntly. Mrs. Choi's hands wrapped around the teacup like she was trying to draw warmth from it. "My son is going to die." Zendaya felt nothing. No sympathy, no shock, just a cold, empty acknowledgement. And I need your help to save him." Now Zendaya laughed. Actually laughed. "You came to me? The woman you called worthless? The nobody with no education, no family name, no prospects? That woman." Mrs. Choi flinched at her own words thrown back at her. "I was wrong. You were cruel. I was cruel." Mrs. Choi agreed, and the admission seemed to cost her everything. "I was wrong about you. Wrong about what my son needed. Wrong about everything that matters." Zendaya sipped her tea, waiting. There had to be more. 3 weeks ago, a business deal went bad. Mrs. Choi continued. Seo-jun refused to move stolen weapons for the Choi syndicate. They're a rival family, more powerful than us now. He tried to go legitimate after the divorce. Tried to clean up the business. But they won't let him leave. They've put a price on his head. $2 million to whoever brings them his body. Sounds like consequences, Zendaya said flatly. He should have thought about that before building an empire on blood. He's in hiding. But they'll find him. They always do. And when they do, they'll kill him slowly. Make an example of him. Mrs. Choi's voice broke. "He's my son. I know I don't deserve to ask you for anything. I know what I did to you. how I treated you. But please, please help me save him. Why me? Zendaya asked. You have money, resources. Hire bodyguards. Hire an army. Because they've bought everyone, Mrs. Choi said desperately. His own men are selling information. I don't know who to trust anymore. But you? You're outside all of this. You have skills no one else has. And despite everything, I know you're not a killer. You're a protector. That's what you teach those women, isn't it? How to protect themselves. Zendaya stood up. The answer is no. Your son made his choices. He chose to build his empire. Chose to humiliate his wife. Chose to put his hands on a pregnant woman. Now he can face what comes next. What about Maya? Zendaya's hand froze on her cup. She asks about him. Mrs. Choi said quietly. I know she does. I had someone watching. Not to interfere, just to see my granddaughter from a distance. And I've seen her at the park, asking other children about their fathers. Watching families. Wondering. Don't, Zendaya warned, her voice dropping to something dangerous. She deserves to know her father. Even if that father is flawed. Even if he's made terrible mistakes. She deserves the choice of whether to forgive him or not. But she can't make that choice if he's dead. Zendaya turned away, her jaw tight. Get out. I'm begging you. Mrs. Choi stood, her voice raw with desperation. Not as his mother. As a grandmother who wants her granddaughter to have options. As a woman who destroyed her own family with her pride and cruelty. Please, give Maya the chance I never gave you. I said get out. Mrs. Choi walked to the door, then paused. He's at the old warehouse on the east side. The one by the river where his father used to run operations before I married into the family. He has maybe 3 days before they find him. After that, it won't matter. She set a piece of paper on the entry table. An address. I know you won't do this for him. Maybe not even for me. But for Maya? For the little girl who deserves better than what we gave you? Please, think about it. Then she was gone. Zendaya stood in her quiet apartment, staring at that piece of paper like it was a bomb. After Mrs. Choi left, Zendaya stood frozen, staring at the address on the entry table. Then a cold, tactical thought hit her. If Mrs. Choi knew where she lived, the Choi syndicate might too. And if they were desperate enough to hunt Seojun, they'd look for leverage, his daughter. Her hands went cold. She immediately called her friend Yoon, a woman she'd once helped escape abuse who now ran a women's shelter. Within 30 minutes, Yoon arrived and drove away with Maya, who thought she was going on a special sleepover vacation. Watching her daughter leave was one of the hardest things Zendaya had ever done, but now Maya was safe and hidden, and whatever choice Zendaya made about Seojun, there was nothing holding her back. Later that night, from the bedroom, she heard her phone buzz. A video call from Maya at her friend's house. She answered. Maya's face filled the screen, bright and beautiful and so full of life. Hi, Mama. Hi, baby. Having fun? Yeah. We're gonna watch a movie about a princess and her dad. He's a king and he fights bad guys to protect her. Maya's smile dimmed slightly. Mama, do you think my daddy would fight bad guys for me? Zendaya's throat closed. Why are you asking about your daddy tonight, sweetheart? Because Jisoo's daddy picked her up from school today, and he was so cool. He works in an office, but Jisoo says he's secretly a superhero. Maya played with her hair, a nervous habit she'd picked up from Zendaya. Do you think my daddy could be a superhero too? Even though I never met him. Zendaya wanted to say no. Wanted to tell Maya her father was no hero. Was barely even a good man. But she saw the hope in her daughter's eyes and couldn't do it. Your daddy is complicated, baby. But that's a conversation for when you're older, and I'm there to hold your hand through it. Okay? Okay. I love you, Mama. I love you more than anything in this world. After they hung up, Zendaya sat in the dark, staring at the piece of paper Mrs. Choi had left. The address seemed to glow in the dim light from the city outside. East Harbor Warehouse 3B, Gangdong District. She could crumple this paper. Let karma handle Seojun. Maya would grow up never knowing her father. Would that be better or worse than growing up knowing he was dead because her mother refused to help? She picked up her phone and called Master Chun, her old coach. He answered on the third ring. Zendaya, I wondered when you would call. She told him everything. Mrs. Choi's visit. Maya's question. The impossible choice. What should I do? Master Chun was quiet for a moment. Do you remember what I taught you about the difference between a fighter and a warrior? A fighter destroys. A warrior protects. You are not saving him, Zendaya. You are saving your daughter from growing up with a ghost she will romanticize. You are saving yourself from becoming the kind of person who lets someone die when you have the power to prevent it. He doesn't deserve my help. No. But your daughter deserves a mother who shows her that power without mercy is just violence. Mercy is not weakness. It is the ultimate show of strength. After they hung up, Zendaya sat in the darkness, turning his words over. She looked at Maya's photo on the coffee table. That's what this was about. Not him. Her. Decision made. She walked to her bedroom and opened the closet, pulling out the locked box she hadn't touched in 3 years. Her old training gear. Black tactical clothing built for combat. She changed quickly, pulling her hair back into a tight ponytail the way she used to before every fight. Muscle memory kicked in as she tied her boots with military precision. She packed a small bag, first aid kit, water, phone, the address. By the time dawn lightened the sky, she was ready. She touched Maya's photo on her nightstand. "This is for you," she whispered. "So you have choices I never did." The drive across Seoul took 40 minutes. The city was waking up. Street vendors setting up. Early commuters. Normal people living normal lives. Zendaya drove through it all like a ghost, her mind already in combat mode. The address led her to an industrial area. Abandoned warehouses. Empty lots. The kind of place people went to hide or die. She parked 2 blocks away and approached on foot. The warehouse was dark except for one light on the 3rd floor. Zendaya moved through the shadows like she'd never left the fighting world. Silent, efficient, deadly if she needed to be. She found him in what used to be his father's office. Sitting in the dark with a half-empty bottle of whiskey, a gun on the desk, and the look of a man who'd already given up. Seo Jun didn't hear her come in. Didn't notice her until she was 5 feet away and spoke. "You look like hell." His head snapped up. Even in the dim light, she saw the shock cross his face. 5 years had changed him. He'd lost weight. The sharp edges were sharper now, but not in a good way. Like he was being carved away from the inside. His tattoos seemed darker against paler skin. "Zendaya?" His voice was rough, disbelieving. "What are you doing here?" "Your mother came to see me." He closed his eyes. "I told her not to. When has your mother ever listened?" Zendaya moved closer, but stayed out of arm's reach. "Old habits. She said you're going to die in 3 days. Probably less. They found my last safe house yesterday. I'm out of options." He looked at her fully now, and something in his expression shifted. "You look good. Strong. Like you're supposed to." "Don't. I'm just saying you look like yourself again. Like you did before he stopped. Before I destroyed everything." "Why did you cross the Choice Syndicate?" Zendaya asked, changing the subject because she couldn't handle wherever that was going. "Because they wanted me to move weapons that would end up killing kids. After Maya was born, after I saw you with her through my mother's photos, I couldn't do it anymore. I kept thinking about some other little girl getting caught in crossfire from guns I moved. I said no. They said I didn't get to say no. So you suddenly grew a conscience. So I suddenly realized the empire I built was the same thing that destroyed my family." He laughed bitterly. "Bit late for that epiphany. 5 years late." "Yeah." He poured another drink, hands shaking slightly. "Why are you here, Zendaya? Come to watch me die? I deserve that. Maya asked about you tonight." His hand froze halfway to his mouth. She wanted to know if her daddy would fight bad guys for her. If you could be a superhero even though she's never met you. Zendaya's voice was hard, controlled. "I couldn't tell her the truth. Couldn't tell her daddy was the bad guy. So I'm here to make sure she never has to know that. I'm here to save you so my daughter doesn't spend her life wondering about a dead man she'll make into something he never was." Seo Jun set the glass down carefully. "You're not here for me. I'm not here for you. You're here for her. I'm here for her." He nodded slowly. "That's fair. That's more than fair." He stood up, swaying slightly. When was the last time he'd eaten? "So what's the plan? How does the woman I destroyed save the man who destroyed her? We get you out of Seoul. I have contacts in Japan from my fighting days. People who owe me favors. They can hide you until this blows over or until you can negotiate a way out. The Choice Syndicate doesn't negotiate. Then you hide until they find a bigger target. Either way, you disappear until Maya is old enough to decide if she wants to meet you or not. Then that choice is hers. Not mine. Not yours. Not Death's. Hers." Seo-jun stared at her for a long moment. You're a better person than I ever deserved. I know. I was a fool. I know that too. If I could go back. You can't. Zendaya cut him off sharply. You can't go back. You can't undo pushing me. Can't undo bringing Hannah into our home. Can't undo the 2 years you made me feel worthless. So don't stand there and tell me what you wish you could change. Just grab whatever you need. We're leaving in 5 minutes. He moved to pack a bag, but the window exploded inward. Zendaya reacted on instinct, diving behind the desk as bullets sprayed the room. Seo-jun hit the ground, rolling toward his gun. 3 men came through the window on rappelling lines, professional and fast. But not fast enough. Zendaya came up behind the desk with a metal chair, swinging it into the first man's head. He went down hard. The second one turned his gun toward her, but Seo-jun fired first. The shot went wide but made the man duck, giving Zendaya the opening she needed. She closed the distance in 2 steps, trapped his gun arm, and drove her elbow into his throat. He dropped gasping. The third man was smarter. He grabbed Seo-jun from behind, using him as a shield. Back off, or he dies, the man said in Korean. Zendaya froze. She should let it happen. Should let this man do what she'd come to prevent. It would be so easy. Then she thought about Maya asking if her daddy was a superhero. Let him go, Zendaya said calmly. Why would I do that? You're one woman. Pregnant last time I heard. No threat to me. Zendaya smiled. Not a nice smile. You heard wrong. She moved like water, fast and fluid, grabbed a coffee mug from the desk and threw it at the man's face. He flinched. His grip loosened for half a second. Seo-jun drove his elbow back into the man's ribs, breaking free. Zendaya was already there, sweeping the man's legs, catching his head before it hit the concrete floor too hard. Unconscious, not dead. We need to move, she said. They'll have backup coming. They ran. Down 3 flights of stairs, out a back exit Seo-jun knew about, into an alley where Zendaya's car was waiting. She drove like she fought. Fast, efficient, always 3 moves ahead. Where did you learn to drive like this? Seo-jun asked, gripping the door handle as she took a corner at a speed that probably violated several laws of physics. YouTube, she deadpanned. Despite everything, he almost laughed. They drove for 2 hours, ditching the car twice, using motorcycles Zendaya had stashed around the city. Planning. Always planning. Finally, they stopped at a small apartment in a neighborhood wealthy enough that people minded their own business. This is your safe house? Seo-jun asked. This is where I train some of my students. Women whose husbands are looking for them. Women who need to disappear. She unlocked the door. It's secure. We'll stay here tonight. Tomorrow, we move you to the harbor. My contact will get you on a cargo ship to Osaka. Inside, the apartment was simple. 1 bedroom, a couch, a small kitchen. Zendaya handed him the first aid kit. You're bleeding. He looked down. A bullet had grazed his shoulder. He hadn't even noticed. She sat him down and started cleaning the wound. Her hands were steady, professional. She'd done this before. You save a lot of dangerous men? He asked. I save a lot of people who need saving. Men, women, doesn't matter. What matters is getting them somewhere safe. Is this what you do now? Save people. I teach people to save themselves. But sometimes they need help with the first step. She worked in silence for a moment, then added, The women I help? They're all running from men like you. Men who thought their power gave them permission. Men who forgot that the person they're hurting is a person. I know. Do you? She looked at him directly. Do you actually know? Or are you just saying what you think I want to hear? I know, he said quietly. I know because every day for 5 years I've woken up remembering your face when I pushed you. Remembering the sound of your voice when you finally stopped crying and went quiet. That's when I really broke you, wasn't it? When you stopped fighting for us. When you just accepted it. I didn't accept it. I was planning. Planning what? Planning how to survive. How to gather evidence. How to make sure when I finally fought back, it would be the last time I'd ever have to. She finished bandaging his shoulder. I wasn't quiet because I was broken. I was quiet because I was preparing. Seo-jun looked at her with something like awe. You're terrifying. I know. I mean it as a compliment. I know that too. He stood up, testing his shoulder. Thank you. For coming. For saving me when you had every reason to let me die. I didn't save you. I saved Maya's image of you. There's a difference. Is there any chance, he started. No. You don't even know what I was going to ask. I know it doesn't matter. Whatever you were going to ask, whatever you were going to say, the answer is no. I'm not here to forgive you. I'm not here to give you closure. I'm here to get you out of the country so my daughter doesn't have to know her father died because he finally did one decent thing. One decent thing, he repeated. That's all I get. That's more than you deserve. They stood in tense silence. Then Seo-jun said something that surprised her. You're right. I know I'm right. No, I mean you're right that it's more than I deserve. But it's not the first decent thing I've done. After the divorce, I set up a trust fund for Maya. She'll get it when she's 18. Enough to pay for any school she wants, start any business she wants, never have to depend on anyone the way you had to depend on me. And I set up another account for the women you help. Anonymous donations every month. Enough to fund your safe houses, your training, whatever you need. Zendaya stared at him. That's been you. That's been me. I couldn't fix what I broke. Couldn't make up for what I did to you. But I could make sure other women didn't have to go through it. And I could make sure our daughter never had to be powerless. Something in Zendaya's chest twisted. She didn't want to feel anything for this man. Didn't want his redemption to matter. It doesn't change anything, she said. I know. It doesn't make us even. I know that too. So why did you do it? Because I needed to do something. Even if you never knew. Even if it never mattered to anyone but me. I needed to do something that wasn't about building an empire or proving I was powerful. I needed to do something that was just about being better than the man who pushed his pregnant wife. Zendaya turned away. You should sleep. We leave before dawn. That night, she took the couch. He took the bedroom. Neither of them slept much. Dawn came too fast. Zendaya woke Seo-jun, handed him new clothes and a fake passport. Memorize the name. You're a businessman relocating to Japan. Your contact will meet you at the dock in Osaka. He'll set you up with work, a place to stay. You keep your head down. You don't contact anyone from your old life. Not me. Not your mother. Not anyone. You just disappear. For how long? Until it's safe. Could be a year. Could be 5. Could be forever. And Maya? When she's old enough, if she wants to know you, I'll tell her how to find you. But that's her choice. Not mine. Not yours. Hers. Are we clear? We're clear. They drove to the harbor in silence. At the dock, Zendaya's contact was waiting. An older Japanese man with kind eyes and a firm handshake. He and Seo-jun exchanged words in Japanese that Zendaya couldn't follow. Then it was just them. One last moment. Thank you, Seo-jun said, for giving me this chance. I didn't give you anything. I just didn't take your chance away. That's more than I gave you. Yes, it is. He turned to leave, then stopped. Zendaya, tell Maya something for me. What? Tell her that her daddy wasn't a superhero, but he's trying very hard to be someone she won't be ashamed of. Even if she never knows him. Even if she never forgives him. He's trying. Zendaya's throat was tight. I'll tell her. When she's ready to hear it. He boarded the ship. She watched until it pulled away from the dock, taking him across the ocean to a new life she'd given him not because he deserved it, but because Maya deserved better than a ghost. She drove home as the sun rose over Seoul, let herself into her apartment. Maya would be home in a few hours. Life would go back to normal. Teaching classes, raising her daughter, being the woman she'd fought so hard to become. Her phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Choi. Thank you for saving him, for being bigger than all of us. Zendaya deleted it without responding. 3 months later, Maya asked again about her father. This time, Zendaya sat her daughter down and told her the truth. Not all of it, but enough. Your daddy made mistakes. Big ones. He hurt people. He hurt me. But he's also trying to be better. And one day, when you're older, if you want to know him, I'll help you find him. But that's your choice, baby. Always your choice. Maya thought about this with the seriousness of a 5-year-old pondering the universe. Is he a superhero? No, sweetheart. He's not a superhero. Is he a bad guy? He was. Maybe he still is. Maybe he's becoming something else. I don't know. But what I do know is that good and bad aren't the only options. Most people are something in between. And your daddy is trying very hard to land on the side of good, even if he doesn't always make it. Like in my favorite movie, where the villain becomes a hero. Something like that. Maya nodded, satisfied. Okay, can we do training now? And just like that, it was over. The conversation Zendaya had been dreading was just another moment in Maya's day. Her daughter was resilient, strong, everything Zendaya had hoped to raise. Years from now, Maya might ask more questions, might want details, might want to meet the man who was her father. And when that day came, Zendaya would help her. Because that's what mothers do. They help their daughters navigate the complicated truth that people are messy and flawed, and sometimes both broken and trying to heal at the same time. For now, she just watched her daughter practice the defensive stance Zendaya had taught her, watched her move with confidence and power, watched her become the kind of woman who would never let anyone make her feel small. And that, Zendaya thought, was the real victory. Not saving Seo-jun, not proving she was strong enough to help the man who'd broken her, but raising a daughter who would never need saving in the first place. That night, after Maya was asleep, Zendaya stood on her balcony looking out at Seoul. Somewhere across the ocean, Seo-jun was starting over. Somewhere in this city, other women were running from their own versions of him. And somewhere in the next room, her daughter was dreaming of being strong. The circle was complete. She'd saved him not because he deserved it, but because mercy was stronger than revenge. Because showing Maya that you could be powerful enough to destroy someone and still choose not to was a better lesson than showing her how to break bones. Zendaya had spent 3 years being gentle before she remembered she was a warrior. Now she was both. Gentle when she could be, a warrior when she had to be, and most importantly, wise enough to know the difference. That was the woman she'd become. Not the broken wife who cried herself to sleep. Not the fighter who put men in hospitals. But someone who contained all of those versions and chose which one to be in any given moment. That was power. Real power. The kind that didn't come from fear or force, but from knowing exactly who you were and never apologizing for it. Zendaya went back inside, checked on Maya one more time, and went to sleep. Tomorrow there would be more women to train, more lives to help rebuild, more strength to share. Because that's what warriors do. They protect, they teach, they lift others up, and sometimes, very rarely, they save the life of someone who tried to destroy them. Not because that person earned it, but because mercy is the ultimate show of strength. And Zendaya was stronger than anyone had ever imagined, including herself. Thank you for watching Zendaya's story. If this touched your heart, if it reminded you that you're stronger than anyone who ever tried to break you, then please hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story that might change your life. And in the comments, tell us where you're watching from. Are you in New York, London, Lagos, Tokyo? Let us know because this family stretches across the whole world and your voice matters. Every time you subscribe, every time you comment, you're helping us share stories of strength, survival, and second chances with people who need them most. So subscribe, turn on that bell, and remember, the quietest person in the room might just be the one who changes everything. Thank you, family. Until next time.